Hello, everybody. Hail Satan and hail yourselves. It's me, Roger Wood, again. Got my sigil Lucifer on. But remember, he's just symbolic to me. Don't start thinking that all of a sudden I worship Lucifer as an actual deity, because I don't. And even though I tell you that, I'm going to tell you something. Isn't it a sin against your God to call me a liar? Especially if you don't know whether or not I'm a liar or not? That, that would be judging me very unfairly. Because I'm not lying. I don't have a deity that I worship. I don't worship Satan. I don't worship Lucifer. I don't worship Belial. I don't worship Leviathan as actual deities. Or the infernal names. If I remember right, there's like 77 or 71 or 77 infernal names, but I don't uh, worship them as actual deities. I call upon a few that I think will work for my ritual, and then those are the ones I call upon every time. But I don't look at them as actual deities. It's just all symbolic to me. The whole ritual is a symbolic thing. Now, you try to tell me that I'm worshiping Satan, but I gave off 4 examples of deities that if you wanted to say I was worshiping something, you might as well say I worship all of them, which is Satan, Lucifer, Belial, and Leviathan. How did you just single me out with Satan? I gave you 4 examples of what you could have used against me, and you only used 1 out of 3. Well, 1 out of 4. There's still 3 remaining. I don't know, did you not hear me? I explained it pretty clearly about what it is I believe. I don't believe in a God either. I don't believe in a devil. I don't believe in Muhammad, Jehovah, Jesus, Satan, um, Vishnu, other gods, you know, Abaddon, Baphomet, Bass, Beelzebub, Behemoth, Beherit, whatever it is, you know, I don't believe in anything that you Christians would believe as an actual deity. Uh, and right there, you can't just lean towards just Satan, because I just gave off a whole bunch of more names too. Now I'm not going to give you any more. You're wearing me out with it. Okay, but remember, it's just all symbolic. All it is. Do I believe we're going to heaven or hell when we die? No. It would have showed itself somehow. I mean, come on. The ending of the world was in Malachi when the Jews wrote it, and then it went later on to BC and when Christ was born, and then after death, which is AD, which is after Jesus' death. That's been going on for a while. I think 2,000 years or something like that. So I forgot last time I checked into it. I think my mom told me what it was, but I believe it might be a lie. But I don't know. It could be 2,000 years. My mom was never the greatest character. She was a Christian too. And when I was a Christian, see, I'm going to go ahead and talk about that. When I was a Christian, I decided to become a cowboy. I rode bulls, made my own country music about drinking. And I was trying to quit drinking so I could treat my parents right. So I was getting on my knee every night praying this prayer. I don't know why it didn't happen the first time, because that's an important prayer. Jesus said, I will do anything you ask of me as long as you follow my commandments. And part of the commandments are honor thy father and mother, for you will be living long in the land. Uh, and I was doing that. Why didn't that prayer get answered? You know what I did one night? Got down on my knee to pray that same prayer, and I said, is this really going to work this time? And reading all the contradictions in the Bible, which there's many, uh, I don't have my Bible with me, so I'm not going to talk about any of them. Because I don't feel comfortable about talking about something I don't know about unless the proof is right in front of my face. You see, that's why, you know, you guys don't give me that chance. I don't the only reason I remember some things of the Bible, but I can't remember their chapter and verse. But if you look it up on the internet, what I tell you, you will see that it is in the Bible. A lot of people don't. They just say, "Oh, he's wrong." My pastor told me about people like this. They're liars. They follow the father of lies, like it says in the Bible. Everything God is the truth, and if he's not as the truth, he's not worth listening to. You know why you guys don't listen to me? Is because you've been being told and controlled by pastors and stuff like that to not listen to people like me. Uh, you know, what if we have the truth? Because uh, so far, what all I've been looking into about religion, I've read the truth about religions. Yep, and they all have the Jesus story. Yeah, something like the Jesus story, because you got Allah and Muhammad. They believe Jesus was just a prophet. Uh, yeah. So, did you know how I stopped drinking though? Go ahead and answer that. When I decided to take full responsibility of myself and quit crying about it, and I took full responsibility of that, and I've never touched a drop since. It's been a year and a couple months. Yeah. I haven't been going to meetings, haven't been going to church, anymore, I should say, because I have went to church. Uh, and I'm proud I don't anymore. You know, getting sucked into a whole bunch of lies. You know what's funny? You say I'm wrong, but you also say, uh, Allah and Muhammad are wrong. And you know, I had a pastor one time say he knew who Allah and Muhammad were. It was Satan. Well, go to the Muslim and tell him that. I don't, and I wouldn't go over to Iraq. Just do it to the ones over here in this country. I don't know. There might be a very radical Muslim. He might really be into his beliefs, and I'd be careful what I told him. And definitely just don't go over to Iraq and try it, though you'll die. Yeah. Uh, Another thing I wanted to talk about is I know a lot of people, a lot of you Christians, who said, "Did you know that Jesus?" I mean, let me just ask you this question: Do you think before you do this, just think for a second? Do you think Jesus thinks that it would be okay for you just to know more about it? I mean, yeah, okay, to get to want to know something, you got to have a desire to do that. And a fantasy, that helps too, because that leads more towards your desire, because you'll want it. Do you think that Jesus would be impressed with you desiring just to want to know more about it? I'll tell you one thing, uh, lust and you know, sexual activity such as masturbation, they they combine that together because there's no way to escape lust. And if you lie in bed long enough, you might find yourself committing another sin after you have just woken up. Is the sexual arousation of it all. God says that you're an adulterer if you go after other gods. Adultery also in the Bible is sexual. This God, you don't think there's not pornography in that Bible? Just read the Song of Solomon. You tell me just right there. And we'll just go ahead and not even talk about Lot and Noah and his daughters. We'll just talk about the Song of Solomon. It's within a song. There is sexual activity in that Bible. Do you think that's good for kids to read? I'm going to go ahead and drill on you because I know you guys drill on me when you see me and when you hear me, you're probably drilling on my head with your head. I'm going to go ahead and drill your brain for a second. Do you think that knowing that sexual stuff is in that Bible, uh, would you preach that to your kids? I mean, come on now. You know, one how you can also tell that this country wasn't founded on God is because there's no such thing as statutory rape or child molestations that are allowed to be here in America. Uh, yeah. So, and the thing about Lot and his daughters and knowing his daughters, that's child molestations. Uh, how can you say this country's founded on God when none of it is? None of it is. You know, on the back of the dollar bill it says, "In God we trust." Did you know on top of the pyramid that's the evil eye, or the all-seeing eye, or the eye of Horus? That that right there is a satanic symbol. So you got both on the back. So now you can't just say the dollar bill is referencing to God. No, you know what? If I was in charge of making that money just to trick you, I'd be making you say the whole time and believing the whole time and hoping you'd believe this, that in God we trust, the dollar bill and any bills or any change, because I have in God we trust too on it. I will try to give that to you in a way to where you'll think it is your God, so you can sin against your Jehovah. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of rich Christians and they really love money. Do you have you ever met a pastor? I know I have, but have you ever met a pastor that just didn't appear to be what he should have been? Yeah, I have. Just by how they act. You know, Jesus even talks about being fruit on the vine, and you'll know each other by their fruits. And you know, I read that, and it just makes me wonder if Jesus is intertwined with evil too, because he says he is the vine, and fruit grows on the vine. And but it would make sense how God says he's evil in Isaiah 45:7, because he says he creates evil. You know why you guys probably don't look that verse up? Is because you just listen to your pastor. You probably think I'm full of shit and there's no need to go look. But I'm telling you, if you would look at these things and what I'm telling you, you would figure out very quickly that I am telling you the truth. Yeah. And there's other things too. I'd have to reread through the Bible. I will do more videos on it. Trust me, I will. Just gotta find the time. I think I'll start tomorrow and start coming up. I gotta find this one story because they're talking about in 2 Timothy 3:16 that God is like the founder of the Bible. But uh, but there's actual story in the Bible to where the numbers change and it's the same story. And if God talked this Bible into existence, uh, then it wouldn't have changed. It would have remained the same. Why does God need to deceive you? This God seems very deceiving to me. Because you know what it'd take for me to believe in God? I'll just go ahead and tell you. Well, Jehovah anyway, or Muhammad, or whatever religious order that sends missions out. What I want to do, how I'll be saved, is God can't appear before me just like out of nothing, because I think I'd hallucinated. But now, if he comes to my door in the form of a human and knocks at the door, and I open up the door, talks to me in a way to where he is a human being, but he is God at the same time because he's Jesus and Jesus is God. And for me to believe that, I would have to get out my cell phone and tell him I'm about to call somebody who doesn't believe in Jesus just like I do. And you need to tell me what it is I need to tell them to turn them into a Christian or a Muslim or whatever uh, religion you have that sends people out on missions to get to know about your God. He'd have to tell me what to say to get them saved. What is God waiting on? What is he waiting on? Now, you notice I didn't say I have to pray before that happens. No, I am saying that is what it would take for me to believe. It has to happen now. Why hasn't there a knock at my door? I've been thinking about this video all morning. Why hasn't there been a knock at my door? Okay, if God can read my thoughts, and he also knew me before my mother's womb, Jeremiah 1:5. He knew me before my mother's womb. He knew what time it is, and he hasn't done it. And he still hasn't done it throughout my whole life because he should have known in the beginning, especially when I became a Christian again, that I was going to stray away. So why did he let me stray away when he knew what he had to do? He could have went up, touched my forehead, and said, "You're healed of alcohol." Or, you know what? Just answer the prayer. Because at that time, that prayer that would have got answered for me to stop drinking would have been answered. I wouldn't have had that. And who knows? But let's just say that prayer didn't exist. He knew I was going to stray. And that prayer might as well not existed anyway. I was talking to nothing, just putting my words out into the air, and that's all there'll ever be in is the air. It's nothing. That's all it ever was, all it'll ever be, and all it ever will be. Yeah. If anything, the ritual that I did, um, you know, did it cure me itself? All I know is it gave me the things to do to cure myself. I haven't been drinking, haven't been using meth either. Yeah, that was another thing I was addicted to was meth. I don't have the desire for it anymore. It's just not my thing. Same with the alcohol. Don't have a desire for it anymore. It's not my thing. I lived with it for long enough. You know, you Christians also commit another sin. Let's just get off the fact that I'm a Satanist right now. But let's get on to the fact of this. Somebody actually changes their life. How come they don't get believed? You just believe he's still the same way. He could have changed his life fully. Did you know that God said in the Bible in Romans chapter 10, verse 13, it says, "Any man who calls upon the name of the Lord will be saved"? Yep. That means every Christian is supposed to accept him now as a Christian brother or sister, depending on who he or she is, and accept them into the fold as if they were brothers and sisters in Christ. Because when you get up to heaven, you all will be kneeling amongst each other, praising the Lord for eternity. Yeah. The guy who wrote the Bible, I believe, was desperate to get people to follow him. Yeah, he was talking about how God is a jealous God and a vengeful God, and all the things that happened to the Israelites when they stopped believing in God. from King Nebuchadnezzar and all that. Uh, yeah. I don't know why I said it. Oh well. Christians are going to be who they're going to be. And it's never going to change. It only gets worse, really. Like the God bless you thing. Some Christians right now would be like, as soon as I seen that man, I would tell him that Jesus loves him. It wouldn't hurt my feelings, but let's just say they went up to somebody whose feelings got hurt very easily and they made that person cry because they didn't believe in Jesus. And do you think do you think your God would go ahead and approve of that? I I thought that first of all, God wasn't forceful; He's all free will, and free will is also not. It's. I'll just put it like this: free will is you get to do what it is you want to do as long as no one else is involved that doesn't want to be involved. If it doesn't meet that, then it's not free will. So I think you Christians need to like notice and probably investigate what free will really is and then come to your conclusions. But I have this funny feeling that you guys are going to think, oh, well, I know what I'm talking about. I believe in Jesus. Uh, you're believing in a mythical character. You can't you can't tell me that he's real. I mean, and another reason why I wouldn't rely on the Bible to be a Christian is because that Bible doesn't tell me what to tell them to believe in him. There should be some things you should be able to say that'll grab everybody's attention to say, hey, he's telling the truth. Why I would want God to tell me to tell the person what to hear to get to believe in Jesus, to where I would believe in Jesus, is the exact things and nothing less. I want the exact words, if more, if it takes more. And even if more, just to get him excited to finally believe, I'd be like, wow, you're really real. I never knew that. Yeah. Uh, you see, I don't believe as long, if the belief I can prove it's real. Like here's what we can do here on Earth. We can measure, distances between planets, and we can go to the moon, and we got cell phone waves to where you talk on your cell phone that transmit between towers, and they know exactly where to go. And we know about animals, we know about dinosaurs, we know about a lot of things. We know how to make cars, we know how to make jet planes, we know how to make missiles, bullets, etc., 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 ad nauseum. uh, why can't we detect God? We know all of this stuff. Now you say it's hard to do. Well, so is a cell phone wave coming from one cell phone. And if you've looked at a cell phone at a cell phone's guts, you'll notice all it is a bunch of chips and like a real thin piece of plastic is holding all these chips together, and all these little bumps in it that kind of look copper looking that go through them, and they're all connected to each other. And somehow that works off of a chip that has the same thing inside of it, but smaller. And it sends off this wave, and it goes through a tower, and another tower catches it with that wave, and they cross paths, and they know exactly where to go because that wave somehow can tell the other one where it came from, and they just go there. But we can't detect God. Come on now, isn't doesn't some just seems funny about that, man? We can do that, but we can't detect God. We know about other galaxies because we made Hubble telescopes and there's satellites and all this other stuff. We can do that, but we can't see God. You know what? It's very easy for a man to try to get followers if they're all naive when he says God can't be seen, heard, or felt. That's a good way to get the naive, but not somebody like me and other people I know. We're not too quick to go for that. I know me, I did go for that. That's why I don't anymore. The more I read about the Bible, the fucked up things that I've been reading about it, I'm not following that. I don't believe that's real. I believe that's written by a man and a man only. All religions are inventions of man. When you're worshiping a God, you're worshiping basically that man that made that God. Why not? Why not do this? Why not, instead of being God fearing, be Satan fearing and have the fun it allows you? I mean, you're to follow God. You have to be deprived, and you have to stay away from things that aren't godly, and you shouldn't fall to sin. And the sad thing to say is there's what I've seen and what I believe that God is not there. I believe that man is his own God and his own devil. And that's if he chooses to be, because any man, you can choose to be a God. You can choose to be a devil. Why not do that? There's this group called the Yezidists that believe that it is Satan who they must worship down here on earth since it is his, and that given the last rites, that when they go, they'll get to go to heaven because what'll happen is God will forgive their sins and they'll be allowed in. And also, if I remember right, I read in that book, if I bet I did, to where actually hell, yeah, I did read it in there. Actually, hell has no flames. Tears were shed into there, and it quenched the fire. So when people go down, it doesn't say really any more about what it's like down there, but it's not as torturing as the God of the Bible. I think if I was going to follow gods, I think I'd rather do the yes. It seems a lot more lenient, and also how they put away wives back in that day. They just didn't want to be with them anymore. There was no such thing as adultery, I don't believe, back then, unless they cheated on their loved one. But then again, if I remember, I didn't read anything about adultery. No, I almost read the whole book. I'm on the persecution now. They got persecuted. I'm gonna get into that. I know it was by the hands of the self-righteous and hands of the Muslim, but the self-righteous are Christians because they did back in the day because the Crusades were Christian. The guy even burned a cross in his chest, saying that Jesus told him to do that and to get people to wear the knights of the crusade. They had red crosses on a white mantle on the over their vest of armor, and they were killing other nations for believing in different gods besides Jehovah. The Muslims also did too. They did a lot of killing, but they both went after the Yazidis. Yeah, kind of sad story. And in the end, it come out to be that the Yazidis were actually highly moral people, and they weren't so evil as everybody thought they were. But when it's too late, it's too late. And I bet the Christians, if the Yazidis were still around, if they are, I bet the Christians would want them to forgive them because it's part of the Christian religion. Forgive me, brother, I wronged you. There's no forgiveness for that on my behalf. There's no forgiveness for that. Yeah, that is an unforgivable sin. You went and killed many of my people, and now you want me to forgive you. Which, which, after hearing this, knowing I'm a Satanist, which one would you rather be now? a Christian or a Satanist. But you're probably still thinking I'm a devil worshiper, and I know why. You're a pastor, or somebody's told you that uh, the father of lies is who I follow, which would be Satan. But why isn't it? How come you don't also say, like I said, Lucifer, Belial, or Leviathan? Or I gave you some more at the first video I did. If you didn't hear it, you might want to rewind it. But yeah, this video is mostly for Christians. You know, they bother me, so I have to bother them. Yeah, it doesn't really make me mad. It gives me something to do. I like doing this because I'm gonna get a chance here. Hopefully, I can free a bunch of minds, get people who are having trouble with religion, not to have so much trouble with it, because I'm gonna try to get them, to believe what is considered reality, and hallucinations happen. Yeah, I've had hallucinations. And I didn't take any drugs having them either. I just had them. I hallucinated. And the fear of hell. I mean, is hell a scary place? Well, according to the Bible, it is. Yeah. If something was like that if it was real, I'd be scared. But it's not real. It's just a it's just a word. Did you know the Christians the word hell wasn't originally in the Bible, it was Sheol. And it was, it was from the Jews. That's the only way they knew hell was Sheol. That's what they called it, Sheol. Uh, it was Christians who made hell because they went to Gehenna, and there was where they dumped garbage and burned it there, and they watched that, and then that's where they came up with hot fire and brimstone and hell. Yeah, that's where they got it from. And I mean, just look at it. In my Bible, my Satanic Bible, it tells me, you know, not to believe in deities and why they're not real. I mean, that that would be more sane for me to hear, even if I wasn't a Satanist. Let's just say I was, and I didn't claim any religion, and I I heard the two, believing in something with faith, which means that it can't be tested or proved, or just believing that he's his own God. I already spoke to you about my rituals. I was like, if anything, it got me more motivated to do it. You get what you put in life. I'll just put it like that. You get what you put in, and your loyalty means everything. Uh, you have to stay loyal. You can't. I mean, sometimes you'll mess up, but it depends on what you do when you start messing up. That's when it matters. As long as you're learning, and especially if you're learning quickly, like I did, I got rid of all my violent games. Well, I haven't gotten like to where I don't play video games anymore, but I'm only gonna own my wizard games. I like wizard games anyways. Dungeons and Dragons is my favorite. Dark Souls is my next. Heretic and Hexen are my third. And Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen is my fourth. They made a second one of that too, but it's on PS5. Damn, I'm gonna have to get PS5. But anyways, I got rid of all my like Resident Evil, the Evil Within. I'll tell you something about the Evil Within. This ring right here. Yeah, I took this part right here. It's really blunt, and I went because I lost. I went wham like that, and it was about a month ago. I started bleeding instantly down my head. I was so angry because I kept dying. And that game is really intense. I ended up beating the game. I mean, I can tell you how it ends. You just run from him at first because his hand will be dragging. And then you'll run through another thing, and then he'll break apart everything. You'll fall, and this thing will go through your chest. Then you get a rocket launcher. You shoot him 3 times. Then you drop. He grabs you. You shoot him in the face, and then he swallows you in, and then his stomach explodes, and then he's dead. Okay, enough of that. Uh, but anyways, if I was to hear between those two, though, of which one I believe is more sane, I'd say Satanism. And I'm not saying that just because I'm a Satanist, because I had to see when I got away from Christianity, I had to wonder what the hell I was going to do with my life now that I knew that Jesus and God, well, Jehovah don't exist. I had to come to some understanding of that, and what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I came back to Satanism. I realized that I am my own God when I studied more into it, and that I do have the power. It's within myself. As long as I'm, doing those things, I should be able to keep on track, and I have been. Yeah, how I smoke 2 cigarettes every hour. It's been a whole hour before I've even smoked a cigarette. Yeah, it's been a whole hour. Yeah, but anyways, this video is getting coming to an end. Uh, hope y'all got something out of it. If you didn't, you didn't. But if you did, hell yeah, hell Satan, and hell yourself, and have a nice day.